This is my interpretation of Everybody Flesh, which is a musical composition, 27 minutes long. Angel Ariel is going to help me with this. Um, it kind of begins in the middle of work, beginning as in a sense as if there's a working going on. It's a meaningfulness, and it's like an important work that the music is celebrating, maybe of somebody's life work. Walt Whitman talked about stopping this day, and his reader, will possess the meaning of all poems. Um, what that was, he never went into saying, but he talked about that in Song of Myself. And then Emerson also talks about doing your work to do your work, and I will know you, which Emerson is a little in the tradition of Christian literature. That's his idea of work. This piece of music, it's an important work. Um, it symbolizes the importance of having a good job. Um, but in the sense that meaning is actually more important than harmony, this piece of music reminds me of Emerson's Uriel, his poem, where the other angels talk about laws of meter and form being just. Uriel stands up and says that no, um, he's going to argue with the other angels that there are injustices in the world. And that's in his Emerson's book called Uriel. Um, but this music celebrates the idea of good work, doing a good job, having a well chosen career. I would say, um, maybe in the sense of Jürgen Habermas, the philosopher. I'm pulling that idea from his book Justification and Application. Um, when we talk about meaning, a lot of people don't really associate it with the word mean. But for me, with my angels, whenever they ask me, what does this mean? I always tell them, well, there's a pain in my leg. That's kind of mean. Or I have a headache. That's mean. Um, Meaning is associated with pain. Um, uh, and pain actually, I always say pain is the meaning of life, which is kind of a tragic part. Um, there's a sense of going in the right direction in this music, even with even by confronting its problems in life, to still be in the right direction. In fact, Richard Rorty talks about dissolving problems instead of solving them. He also talks about seeking hope as a substitute for our search for knowledge. These are things that I'm interested in his pragmatism, and I try to live my life a little bit more in that way. Yeah, Richard Rorty also says there are no problems, only more and more interesting ways that we can describe the world. I like that a lot, and I think of him as my spiritual brother. Um, when we talk about also problems, I think of the problem plays of Merchant of Venice and Oswald at Enswell of Shakespeare. Um, but this music actually is not a problem, even though having a good career, you're going to have problems in your life no matter what. But there's a coherence to the music. There's nothing really superficial in it. There's got lots of great melodies. It's not superfluous. The coherence over correspondence theories. I, I I choose coherence more than correspondence any day. It's a full and complete song. Um, Speaking of good careers, I like which this music kind of like symbolizes the idea of having a significant kind of work that you do. I like the idea of getting paid for your work, which was one of Freud's notions about why he defended the idea that psychologists should get paid for their work. And this also goes back to Samuel Johnson's idea that nobody but a blockhead would write for anything but money. Um, sense. But that's actually the opposite of Socrates, the philosopher who taught his students without getting paid. He was against the sophists who would get paid for teaching their students to argue about anything and be on the right side of anything, whether it's true or false, according to Plato. But Whitman actually is his idea of meaning, the meaningfulness is actually even better than Emerson's idea of work or getting to know um, you through your work. I like the idea of meaning over work, even as more important element in this music. The meaningfulness is even more important than um, the idea that you're working towards goals. So what is that meaning? It's hard to tell. Um, Usually with Nietzsche, the philosopher, he said that pain is associated with memory. He also said that pain and pleasure are not opposites, but because things are memorable, they create a kind of pain within us. The meaning and the work and the pain and the pain defined is in that order. So it's Whitman, the best, um, sim, uh, the best at symbolizing this music, then Emerson, then Nietzsche, who defined a good description of pain. Um, I actually have a couple lines in my book, Hawaiian Sonnets, that deal with pain. Um, the pains of King John is one of my quotes, and also one of my other quotes is, "Thou lasting pains art meaningful during night's madnesses," from Hawaiian Sonnets. My favorite book I've ever written. But those are some ideas about my musical interpretation and critique of this music called Everybody Flesh. Um, and Valerie helped me with this uh, explanation.